Hello, and welcome to my first video of learning and development. I didn't really know what to call this channel, so I decided to call it exactly what it is. I'm going to be treating this channel like a captain's log, where I share everything I've been learning about game development and how it works behind the scenes. Think of it as like kind of like a vlog of my journey as a game developer. I got a wicked cold, but I'm still doing this. I know it sounds a little egotistical, especially considering I'm like at the very bottom of like what it means to be a game developer. Like I literally know nothing, but I'm mainly creating this as a way to stay motivated and keep myself improving. I also wanted to make it for anybody that's in a situation like me. I can't think of too many YouTube channels that are like this, unlike from this perspective as like a complete noob to game development. So this video is going to be a lot of like show and tell of what I've been doing, but hopefully future videos will just be game development and coding. First thing I wanted to talk about is this game called Bitburner. It's a free-to-play game on Steam. If a game looks halfway decent, I want to try it, so I picked it up and I tried it. I completed the tutorial and everything was pretty straightforward. Eventually you get to a script, which was basically what the game's about. And I really didn't know what was going on, so I brought up ChatGPT and I just started asking questions, like to see if I could actually understand what's going on. And it wasn't too hard to understand. Once I understood what each part of the script meant, I just started experimenting, and without going like in depths of how the game actually works, I eventually wrote this function here. And once I understood how the functions worked in the game, something I kind of struggled to learn back in the day when I actually tried to learn coding, it kind of just like clicked. Like I kind of understood functions in coding at that moment. Looking at all the other game's functions and like how the script could interact with all of the game's like interactivity, I guess you could say, I immediately started thinking of like if statements and how to check conditions, and I realized I could literally automate everything about this game if I just knew how to code. Being a programmer is something I've always wanted to be, but I just haven't done it. Like I just have not stuck it through. But this time I decided, and proof of this video is to actually try to become a programmer and like really try. So I stopped playing the game. I only had a couple of hours in it so far, 4 I think now. It started looking for websites to teach me Python, a language that I remember trying to learn way back in the day. I just started looking around, watched a ton of videos, looked at different game engines and like what kind of language they used, and because if I did this, it would all be just to try and develop games, hopefully for a living. I eventually ended up on Godot. It seemed like a really good engine since it has dedicated like 2D and 3D development and a script department. It seemed like everything was just kind of like right there. So I booted that up, I downloaded that, I kind of messed around with it a little bit, but I started doing more Python programming, trying to learn Python. I went to boot.dev and did like their free course here, but eventually you have to pay for it. It's like $80 a month. With Godot, I tried to go in there and do stuff, but it's too foreign for somebody that just knows nothing. All the tutorials I saw on YouTube were just either way too basic or way too complicated. You just couldn't follow. I eventually found the Godot's documentation of how to actually use the engine, and that's when I just started reading. And I did learn a lot from the documentation, and like I still need to read a lot from the documentation. But the documentation is more geared towards the actual programmers, I think. Some of it is just way over my head, but Some good things I got from it was the Learn GD Script website, which tells you the GD script like syntax. And while I was learning Python, it just started to make a lot more sense. And on top of that, I found the Harvard classes, which I had no idea Harvard classes were free. And that's basically what took over my time, at least for like a week or so. It's just I just watched the Harvard Intro to Python. I'll bring it up on the screen and leave a link to it. But yeah, so the past few days I've just basically been watching the Harvard classes and following along, writing my own code and like trying to follow along with the professor, but making up my own stuff as I go, so I kind of know how it works. I would ask AI like how things work, why it worked. I just started to try and learn as much coding as I could possibly get. Some of it is still a little foreign, but it seems like the more you learn how to learn, I guess is like how to put it. So I'm just gonna keep at it, and hopefully all the stuff I don't know will eventually make sense. Still to Godot, I knew I still needed to find videos or tutorials on how to use a game engine. Like it's just too foreign. It doesn't seem like there's any good resources. Just like all the resources are made by other people. So I eventually came across this GD Quest place. It has a lot of good videos. I'll leave a link to that too in the description. And they also have a paid course that I thought about taking, but I might eventually take. But I figured I'd just keep looking around for a good YouTube series or something. And then I found this place called GameDev.tv. It's super cheap, and I thought, it's cheap. Why not give it a go? And that's basically what I've been working on so far anyway, the past week or so. I decided to get the complete Godot for 2D course, which it shows you at least 3 games, how to make them, and I figured that would be the best course, is to make games that have already existed with like an actual good teacher and step-by-step on how to do it. And so far it's been good. Everything is explained. Every little small step is explained. They teach you from scratch, at least in this course. So they tell you what nodes are. They tell you how to, like, I actually know what signals are, how to modify scripts, how to do a bunch of different things. But yeah, there'll be a lot of editing in this video, but hopefully future videos will just be game development and code and like things I'm learning and like things I've found out about the project. But that being said, here is this abomination that I have made. I'll kind of walk you through how everything here works. So yeah, it's a very, very, very basic game, to say the least. Like, it's supposed to be a maze type game where you're basically controlling a rigid body that goes through the maze, and if you hit the wall, the whole level resets. What I've learned from this project, it's the very first game the website teaches you, but I've learned how things interact and already some of the pitfalls that I'm gonna fall into following certain things. But it's not supposed to look like this. I was just experimenting with my own textures. It's AI generated textures, and it looks absolutely abominable to say the least. But it works. But yeah, I'll basically show you through here. So basically all of Godot is just like a scene. It's a scene with scenes in scenes kind of deal. So like you have this level 1 here. It has very little script. to get the music playing, I had to use a thing called a singleton, which is not in the lesson. I just was experimenting. I don't want these videos to really be tutorials on how to do stuff, but if you want to look at the code and then go experiment on your own or figure out how to do it, at least you have some raw code to look at. But basically, the level 1 is what gets booted when you start the actual game, and all of these are basically other scenes that get sucked into the level 1. The main music and the sound effects, which is the explosion, are called singletons, which are global scripts that basically happen no matter what happens. They exist as soon as the game starts up. So the level 1 itself is a 2D scene. The background is this, I guess you could say. The maze is, let me bring this up. The maze is the actual blue stuff. It's basically a 2D body. Any of these will, I've had to, learn how to do this shit, but it's eventually you'll get the icon, this icon means area 2D. The player, which is a rigid body, which I learned from this project, that is a very, well, from what I understand, it's only a physics-based kind of thing. So anytime I wanted to do something, I kept running into problems with the physics engine and having to fight it. The spawn point literally does nothing because I can't get the rigid body to spawn on the spawn point. I had to do a whole bunch of workarounds just to keep the music playing when you died, because the way this works, let me see where is it at? Right here. This is basically a signal that says when the rigid body hits or leaves an area, play the sound effect, which is the explosion, meaning you died, and to get and reload the scene. So that's basically anytime I go outside like this, it reloads the entire scene. It reloads the entire scene. That's basically the level reset. The main music, I basically had AI do this for me, but I'm basically creating a function called play music, and if not playing music, play, so that means it's always playing, and a function called stop if I do want to stop it. This stuff is in pretty much every script. You'll just if you want to know all this detailed stuff, take a lesson, is what I would say. The maze is the same thing. It literally has the same stuff. The player is where most of the code comes in, and I basically had to learn this. Sound effects, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. Shit. This, except I called a play function, I called a play sound effects, made the function, if not playing, play. And all of these are their own scripts inside the scenes, right? So here's main music script and the sound effects script. So they're their own scripts in their own scenes. So anytime you load a scene into the main level, these scripts are taken into account. So let's see. So let me just look at the player body, because this is what I actually had to learn to get this off. So this right here, I need to learn about the other player nodes, but this right here is how you got the rigid body to move around. Basically, this right here is the input. This is the actual input here, and this is the class, and this is a method within the class. So it's basically saying if the input is pressed, apply a force, a vector 2 force, which I have set to 1,000, but you can set it to whatever. Vector 2s are basically just an X and a Y. It's if you don't know what this means, then I would have no idea what this would mean before I took this course. This course took me about, the first game anyway, it took me just about a day or two to get all the way through it. I made this whole game in a day or two, and it's not even a game, but you get what I'm saying. I learned all this stuff from the video tutorial, and this right here, I can actually see how I could literally apply this to anything to get it to move if I want it to behave this way. This other stuff is what I basically have to do to get the spaceship to rotate. And this is, again, help from AI. But once I understood how it works, it's still hard to follow, but at least it makes sense. Basically, this is a vector 2 that stores an x and a y, and this is the x, and this is the y. And you can get a value from the x depending if you're moving left or right, because it takes the first right, which is a 0 or a 1, and minuses by the left, which is a 0 or 1. So it's either 1 minus 0, which is, that would be going right, or it's 0 minus 1, and that would be a negative 1. So depending on what it is, it stores it into this input directive, which is an x and a y, which is kind of counterintuitive. Like, I didn't think you could store two values into a single variable, but nevertheless it works. So by using this x minus x thing, depending on what is being pressed, and the y minus y thing is being pressed, we can get a vector to store it's literally like 5 different datas, like 0 0 1 0 0 1 1 1, you know, you get what I'm saying? Like, I'd have to, if I can find an X chart, I'll put it on the screen. But this next bit here is basically a function. Well, it's not even a function, it's just an if statement, but it basically takes the difference of this and turns it into an angle, and then applies that angle to the angular velocity. It's all because of this like function right here, which even looking it up, I still don't exactly, I get what it's doing, but it's not very clean, to say the least. But basically, this little bit of code can get a rigid body to turn when you turn, so the spaceship actually rotates when I'm moving. If you want to see what this is, you just control click it, and here are the parameters, but it still doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But I ran through it. I eventually figured out how it works. It's just not very obvious. And yeah, so I won't be very good at explaining the code, but at least I'm going to try to explain it. This basically says, if the input directive is not 0, run this code. And this code is how we get the angular velocity, and then apply it to the property angular velocity, and it just makes the thing move. It makes it rotate, which is not included. It's not included in the lesson. Anyway, that's pretty much it for the first game. Going forward, I'm probably going to record when I make things. I've just kind of already made this, and I had the idea to actually make a video of me making it. But I'm probably going to only record me making stuff of my own, because this you can literally just buy this for like $15 and go make your own version. You know, you can make it a lot better looking than this and actually make it a game. But this is for learning purposes, so. But basically how it works is, this is an area 2D node that you make, and you defined its area, right? And then you set up a signal, let's see, on maze body exit. So when I exit this field, this code gets executed on maze body exited. And that's basically the whole premise for the game. You know, it just restarts the whole level when you exit this field. If you did it the way that I didn't do it, and you just like reset the whole thing, it's literally how, let's see here. It's literally how this game, I want to be the guy. It's literally how this game, I want to be the guy, is made. Like, it literally restarts the whole game from the checkpoint. At least that's how I would like, think of this, like, this template to make a game is this exact same game where you avoid objects. If you hit the object, if you hit the area 2D, you just die, and then, like, you just restart from the checkpoint. It seems like this is exactly how this game would be made. So you could literally make a whole game this way. It's just you'd have to, like, figure out how to put in checkpoints, but I'll eventually get that. Eventually, I imagine. So, but yeah, this is progress so far. But yeah, when I finished this, I can't really express how excited I actually was. It's basically nothing, but I haven't felt that kind of excitement in, like, looking forward to some things in a very, very long time. I'm going to continue the courses, and then I'm probably going to even buy the adventurer course from Game Dev TV. Make an adventure game. Just try to make as many, like, I say in quotes, games as possible. But there's so much I still need to work on. I need to start getting an asset library or something so it doesn't look like an absolute abomination. Actually, get some, like, halfway decent, like, backgrounds and stuff to work with. But yeah, that's it. Try and make another one in another week or so. But yeah, later for now.